Wonderful. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Excellent. Okay. Just give me 1 second here. Excellent, 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 excellent. Okay. So, parishioners, congregation, converts, I don't even like using these words. The religion of free thinkers, the religion of book readers, the religion of critical thinkers, the religion of those who dive deeply, the religion of knowledge seekers, the religion of brain cells, the religion of brain cells, where we pray with one eye open and the other eye closed. We are gathered here today for our holy convocation, where we seek knowledge, where we use our brain cells, where we think critically, where we ask questions, where we question things. Welcome to the Church of Common Sense. Can I get an essay? Can I get an easy? Can I get an amen? And those of you who are awakened by your cock crowing in the morning, can I get a... Can I get a... As we are gathered here today on this auspicious Friday evening, where we read in search of knowledge that was hidden from us, we ask the cosmos to open our brain and raise up our sleeping brain cells. We ask that our brain cells be activated, because at this church we pray with one eye closed and the other eye opened. Can I get a witness? Okay, so before we start the holy reading of the Templar Revelation, we have to do a quick disclaimer. We use the U.S. Copyright Act, of 1976 that allows us to read, review, critique, information, a copywritten work. And just one quick commercial. If anyone wants to purchase the herbal bath that will change your life, the link will be in the chat room. The link I will post in the chat room so that you too can soak your way into serenity while you regain long lost common sense, because we are the church of common sense. All right, so let's get started. So where did we leave off? We left off yesterday. We discovered that Leonardo da Vinci and an artist by the name of Jean Cocteau belonged to this society. All right. It started to buffer. Okay. It says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will be experiencing buffering. Can you hear me now? Okay, great. Thank you, E. Carter. Let's do a sound check again. Okay, great. Now you can hear me. Wonderful. So whenever it buffers, just let me know so I can repeat what I was saying. I think it's a software. Okay, D. Warren is saying I have no sound. Give it a second. Okay, great. So I'll be monitoring the chat to make sure that we're not buffering. Okay, great. I think it's a software. I'm using a different software. Okay, Pamela, give it a second. Because everyone has different. As soon as the reading began, I saw that. I just don't want to feed into the nonsense, you know. Okay, great. All right. Let's give it a couple seconds so that we can get into the reading. All right, great. So as you know, we're reading from the book, the Templar Revelation. The Templar Revelation, Secret Guardians of the True Identity of Christ by Lynn Picknett and Clive Prince. We're going to be going slow because it's a lot of info in this amazing book. So we left off the last revelation that we received was that he was invited to this party, and everyone that belonged to this secret society that funded very powerful artists were the bankers. So the last revelation that we received was that the bankers use famous artists. And the artist's job is to create mythology that they feed to the public. Does everyone remember that? Press 1 if you remember where we left off. In our reading and the revelation. So that this secret society, the Priory of Zion, that is run and controlled by the bankers, they pay and commission artists who use mythology to control the public. Press 1 if you remember, so we can get started. Wonderful. Anybody else? Only 4 people said yes. I'm waiting for other people. Okay, great. All right, let's get started with tonight's holy reading. We are reading from page 42. We are reading tonight's holy reading is from page 42, chapter 2. And the book is called The Templar Revelation, Secret Guardians of the True Identity of Christ. Let's get started. Our host, this is story time. Our host was already well known to us as a member of some kind of Masonic organization. But despite his ready and often uproarious wit, he was also a practicing occultist. We know this to be true partly because he told us himself in what was clearly a deliberate move. Obviously, he wanted us to know something about the occult leanings of himself and his circle. But what exactly? Whatever the nature of his hidden agenda, we had learned that the priory exists among cultivated and influential English-speaking men and women. Bombshell. Again, the book is The Templar Revelation, Secret Guardians of the True Identity of Christ. So listen to this, guys. Listen to this bombshell. Whatever the nature of his hidden agenda, we had learned that the Priory of Zion exists among cultivated and influential English-speaking men and women. What did we learn today about the word influential? And they're saying that this Priory of Zion, the people who are in it are cultivated, meaning wealthy. That's just another word of saying wealthy and powerful. And influential, English-speaking, notice they said men and women. So it's not just men and it's not just women. All right, let's continue. Giovanni also named a certain director of a London publishing company who was also known to us as a fellow Priory member. While we were unable to confirm his membership to that organization, we did discover that his interest in the occult extended beyond the occasional articles and books he wrote on the subject under other names. So what's the second thing we're learning about the members of the Priory of Zion? They're influential, they're wealthy, they're English and across Europe, men and women, and they're occultists. He also played a significant role in the publicizing of the Holy Blood and the Holy Grail on its publication in 1982. And it is surely no coincidence that he has a second home very close to a certain French village that has, as we shall see, a major part to play in the drama surrounding the Priory of Zion. What did we learn so far? That very powerful publishers are in this organization. The important fact to emerge from our dealings with these men is that the modern Priory of Zion is not, as critics claim, merely an invention of a handful of Frenchmen with monarchist fantasies, because our recent experience and contacts, there is no doubt in our minds that the Priory exists now. So what are we learning? So people who are claiming that the Priory of Zion doesn't exist are liars. Its claimed historical pedigree, okay, this is lineage, so their pedigree, their genetic lineage, their heritage. However, it's quite another matter. It must be admitted that the Priory's critics have a point in that the first documented reference to it dates from as recently as 25th June 1956. Under French law, all associations must register themselves. Paradoxical though this may seem in the case of the so-called secret societies, the Priory's claim at the time of registration was that its aim was to provide studies and mutual aid to members, a statement which, although positively Pickwickian in its bland altruism, is also a study in careful neutrality. So what are they saying? Basically, they're hiding the reason why they created this priory. Because the French law said all associations must register themselves, right? It declared only one activity, which was to publish a journal called Circuit, which was, in the Priory's own words, for information and defense of rights and liberties of low rent housing. What? Whoa. Did you guys catch that? Did you guys catch that? So look at this. Foyer's HLM, literally the equivalent of British Council housing. Did you guys catch that? Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention to everyone, grab your coffees, grab your glass of wine, grab your chai latte, grab your tea, grab your ginger tea or your beer. Did you guys catch that? Or do I need to read that again? Okay, let me read it again. Guys, I want you to really put on your thinking caps for church tonight. Listen to this. So the Priory of Zion's claim at the time of registration was that its aim was to provide studies and mutual aid to members. Okay? Mutual aid to members, kind of like welfare to members, right? A statement with or funding or capital to members, right? So you're starting a business, the Priory of Zion will help you start your business, right? Yes, Christine. Yes, Carol. We're thinking. A statement which, although positively Pickwickian in its bland altruism, is also a study in careful neutrality, meaning that they're hiding the real intentions from the non-initiates as to why they have this association. And externally, they're making it seem, hey, we're just a regular charitable organization. We're just a regular philanthropy where we help our members. But get this, we're going deeper. It declared only one activity. So publicly, they declared, this is what they declared, one activity, which was to publish a journal called Circuit. Hold on, to publish a journal, which was, in the Priory's own words, watch this, for information and defense of the rights and liberties of low rent housing. So watch this. Let's go into that sentence. The word publishing, hold on to that word. So keep that word in your mind. Publishing journals, a journal called Circuit. And publicly they said the information, watch these words, in defense of rights. Guys, this is before the civil rights movement. This is before the civil rights movement, right, in the United States. Watch this. In defense of rights, in defense of liberties of low rent housing. Why does this, let's use our brain now. Now, why would a bunch of, okay, let me put it this way. What did we learn yesterday about who is in the Priory of Zion? What did we learn yesterday about who is in the Priory of Zion? Who are in the Priory of Zion? Does anyone remember? Kea, yes, I want to go look up that word, Pickwickian. Now let's go back to yesterday. Who did we learn was in the Priory of Zion? Yeah, we're going to go look up that word. That's a great question. Remember yesterday, the bombshell from yesterday? The international bankers, right? And who else? World famous artists, right? Like your Leonardo da Vinci and your Jean Cocteau, not Jacques Cousteau. So your international bankers and your major publishers and your painters, your famous artists, right? So here's the second question. Now, why would international bankers want to fight for the rights and liberties for low rent housing? Get this. And this is before the civil rights movement in the United States. Why would wealthy, powerful artists for the Vatican, why would major publishers who publish books and magazines and newspapers, and this is, the publishers mean media, okay? Because you got media, audiovisual, and then you got print media, and they are all publishing. Why would bankers, international media, and world famous artists create an organization for information and defense to defend the rights and to defend the liberties of low rent housing? Or, right? So let's think about that for a second. The Declaration listed 4 officers of the association, the most interesting and best known of whom was Pierre Plantard, who was also the editor of Circuit. Since that obscure declaration, however, the Priory of Zion has become known to a much wider audience. Not only have its statutes appeared in print, complete with the signature of its alleged one-time Grand Master Jean Cocteau, although of course this could be a forgery, but also the Priory has appeared in several books. Its debut was in 1962 in Les Templars sont parmi nous. Okay? The Templars are among us. Let's say that again. So they were published and in other published books. But look at the name of the book. Les Templars sont parmi nous. The Templars are among us. Whoa! By Gerard de Sedge. which included an interview with Pierre Plantard. Here is my question. Why would they publish a book and the book be called The Templars Are Among Us? Who was it that said, a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy? The priory, however, had to wait for 20 years to make an impact on the English-speaking world. Okay, let's stop there for a second. Let's name some countries that speak English, right? So listen to what he said. The priory, however, okay, its debut was in 1962. Okay? 1962. Okay? That's the 60s. Are you guys thinking? Why is it that the Priory of Zion's debut to the English-speaking world coincided with America's civil rights era? Did anyone catch that? Their debut was in 62, and America's civil rights era was in the 60s. And it so happens that the Priory of Zion said that their agenda for the organization, watch this, was civil rights and civil liberties of low rent housing. Let's continue with that sentence. Watch this. The Priory, however, had to wait for 20 years to make an impact on the English-speaking world. Let's do something right now. Let's stop there. Name some countries that speak English. Let's name some countries that speak English. The first of which is England, right? Name some countries where their first language is English. Great Britain, that's where we got English from. Okay, name another country. America. Yes, let's name another one. How about some countries in the Caribbean? Australia. Excellent. Jamaica. Excellent. Trinidad, Guyana, New Zealand, Barbados, the United States, Grenada, Canada, Australia, West Africa, Many countries in West Africa speak English. South Africa, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Trinidad, Germany, they speak German. Germans speak English, but that's not their colonized language. Right? So we get an idea. We're getting an idea of this sentence. Let's read the sentence again. Now that we're looking at countries that speak English, St. Vincent, Caribbean countries, African countries, right? Countries out in the Pacific, Hawaii, Bahamas, the Virgin Islands, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, right? So let's read that sentence again. The Priory, however, had to wait for 20 years, to make an impact on the English-speaking world. Now that we begin to see the amount of countries that speak English, and they're telling you that the Priory of Zion had to wait 20 years before they could make an impact. What does that tell you where the Priory of Zion is? They're everywhere. But get this, their origin is French. So we know they're in the English-speaking world, but their origin, Priory de Zion. Priory de Zion, right? That's French. Let's call the names of some French-speaking countries. Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, Mali, Chad, Montserrat. No, Montserrat, they speak English. St. Lucia, Canada. Right? Haiti. Now you're beginning to see where the Priory of Zion is. And their agenda is civil rights and civil liberties in real estate. Wow. Let's continue. The Holy Blood and Holy Grail by Michael Bagent, Richard Leigh, and Henry Lincoln hit the bookshops, and the ensuing controversy certainly made the Priory a fashionable subject for debate among a much wider public. What that book claimed for the organization and extrapolated from its alleged aims will, however, be dealt with later. Pierre Plantard, exactly, Kia. Pierre Plantard emerges from the material in the public domain as a colorful character who has perfected the politician's art of looking straight at the questioner while expertly dealing with the actual question in quite another way. Born in 1920, he first came to public notice in the occupied France of 1942 as the editor of a journal called Vaincre pour une jeune chevalerie, Conquest of a Young Knighthood. Okay, that is exactly right, Kia. Right? Which was markedly uncritical of the Nazi oppressors. He's saying that this book, Conquest of a Young Knighthood, Vaincre pour une jeune chevalerie, Conquest of a Young Knighthood, was not critical of the Nazis, and which was actually published with Nazi approval. What? So we see here, Pierre Plantard was a Nazi and a Nazi sympathizer and belonged to an organization for civil rights and civil liberties regarding real estate across the French-speaking world and the English-speaking world. Bombshell. Did you guys catch that? Did you guys catch that? So the occultists, the artists, the bankers, the publishers, and the Nazis belong to a Zionist organization? Whoa! What? Let's continue. Which was markedly uncritical of Nazi oppressors, and which was actually published with their approval. This was officially the organ of the Order Alpha Galates, a quasi-Masonic and chivalric society, so knighthood, based in Paris, of which Plantard became Grand Master at the age of just 22. His editorials appeared first under the name Pierre de France, then Pierre de France Plantard, and finally simply Pierre Plantard. His obsession with what he deemed to be the correct version of his name can be seen once again when he adopted the more grandiose title of Pierre Plantard de Saint-Clair. Saint Clair? Does anyone know who that family is? Bingo, Kia. Does anyone know who that family is? The St. Clairs. Does anyone know who the St. Clairs are? Okay. I'll put it this way. One of the families at the top of the pyramid that controls this planet. Okay? One of the families at the top of the pyramid that controls this planet. Ain't that something? So he changed his name. A very peculiar name. Pierre Plantard, very Merovingian, de Saint Clair. And this name Saint Clair, I believe it's older than the Rothschild family. Okay? Which was the name under which he appeared in the Holy Blood and Holy Grail, and which he used when he was Grand Master of the Priory of Zion between 1981 and 1984. Vaincre is now the title of the Priory's internal bulletin, which Pierre Plantard de Saint Clair edits with his son Thomas. Right? Page 44. This one-time draftsman for the stove-fitting firm, who allegedly had difficulty paying the rent from time to time. Nevertheless, he exerted considerable influence on European history. So this draftsman, they're saying that he had difficulty paying rent, but was so powerful that he exerted influence on Europe's history? I wouldn't believe that. It was Pierre Plantard de Saint Clair, under the alias Captain Way, who was behind the organization of the Committees of Public Safety, which brought about the return to power of General Charles de Gaulle in 1958. Charles de Gaulle was one of France's president, but this man had no money to pay his rent, running around with the name Saint Clair. Okay. Let us now consider the essentially paradoxical nature of the Priory of Zion. First, where does the public information about the organization actually come from? And just how reliable is it? As cited in the Holy Blood and the Holy Grail, the primary source is a collection of just 7 enigmatic documents lodged in the Bibliothèque Nationale en Paris, the Paris National Library, which are known as the Dossiers Secrets, the secret dossiers. At first sight, they are a hodgepodge of historical genealogies. Now do you understand why I keep telling you guys, put your family tree together? Right? Put your family tree together. Because these people are about genetics and genealogy. And you should be too. Okay, genealogies and texts and more modern allegorical works that are attributed to anonymous authors or to authors with blatant pseudonyms or bear the names of people who had nothing to do with them. Most of these entries concern the supposed, watch this, Merovingian obsession of the society, and center on the Merovingian is just a French royal monarchy, which is very big and very powerful, and center on the famous mystery of Rennes le Château, the remote Languedocian village that was the starting point of Béjant, Lay, and Lincoln's own investigation, of which more later. However, certain other major themes emerged that, to us, are far more significant and which we will deal with shortly. The first of the items in the secret dossiers were deposited in 1964, although it is dated 1956. The last item was deposited in 1967. Let's continue. This is getting good. One might only too reasonably dismiss much of the content of the dossiers as being some kind of joke. However, we caution against such an immediate reaction, because our experience of the Priory of Zion and its modus operandi is that it glories in quite, watch this, it glories in quite deliberate and detailed misinformation. Did you guys catch that? The Zionists at the Priory of Zion delight in misinformation and what we also know, mythology. Using mythology to hoodwink the masses. Did everyone catch that? Let me stop here for a second. Is everyone enjoying the reading? Are you enjoying the reading? Press 1 if you're learning something in church today. All right, press 1 if you're enjoying church today. Wonderful, wonderful. So, we learned that the Priory of Zion are occultists, wealthy, powerful bankers, publishers, artists, that are so powerful they can put presidents into power. We learn that the Priory of Zion use mythology and mythological archetypes to deceive the public. We're learning that the Priory of Zion, one of their agenda is civil rights and civil liberties, and they focus on helping people who live in who can't afford to live in real estate. But we also learn that they're so powerful they can put presidents into power? And we're learning that the Priory of Zion controls artists? And the major bombshell for today is that the Priory of Zion, hold on 1 second. Hold on. I just lost my train of thought there for 1 second. The Priory of Zion is in every French-speaking country and in every English-speaking country, and they're high-level occultists. I'm going to ask a question. Given what we know about the Priory of Zion making its debut in 1962, when the civil rights movement in the United States began to uptick, and that the Priory of Zion were civil rights defendants and civil liberties defendants, are they trying to tell us it was the Priory of Zion that led to the civil rights movement? I am merely asking a question. Was it the Priory of Zion who created integration? I'm merely asking a question. Look at the date, 1962. When was JFK killed? When was Robert Kennedy killed? JFK was killed shortly after he talked about a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy. And the Priory of Zion made their debut in 1962 in the United States with the agenda of civil rights and civil liberties, in particular for low-rent housing. But we're keying on the word civil rights and civil liberties and integration, where black people started off for desegregation and then ended up with integration because they're occultists. Is it possible that the Priory of Zion funded the civil rights movement? Just a question. Just a question. We're not accusing anyone of anything. At the Church of Common Sense, we just ask questions. And it's so funny. MLK was killed. Malcolm X was gunned down. JFK was killed. Robert Kennedy was killed. And we know that the Priory of Zion controls media. Oy, oy, oy. Woo. Okay, let's continue. Behind this, page 44, behind this smokescreen of full-scale nonsense, prevarication, I gotta look this word up. Obfuscation. There lies a very serious and single-minded intent. Let's look up these words. Prevarication. Prevarication. Let me just do some quick looking up some words here. Okay, so prevarication means to lie. Okay, so they use deceit and lies. Okay, let's look up the word obfuscation. Okay, so the action of making something unintelligible or unclear Disinfo. So they lie and they use disinfo. So they're chaos magicians. Okay? The other word that we're going to look up, hold on. It's Pickwickian. Okay, so Pickwickian. Okay, let's just look this up. Okay, this is Dickens. Mr. Pickwick and Dickens, Pickwick Papers. Okay, being jovial, plump, or generous. Okay. So being corpulent and rotund. Right? So they lie. They cause confusion. They're chaos magicians. Right. So what they do is that they put out detailed information that is blatant lies and that is unintelligible and to cause confusion. So they're disinfo agents. Okay. Page 44. Let's continue. However, what would not in a million years have fascinated and motivated such great names as Leonardo, look at these names now, Isaac Newton, for so long was this supposed obsession with restoring the long-gone Merovingian bloodline to a position of power in modern France. So Isaac Newton, famous scientist, Leonardo da Vinci, Europe's greatest painter, they're in a society who has a deep desire to see a Merovingian ruler sitting in France's throne. On the evidence given in the secret dossiers, the case for the survival of the dynasty beyond King Dagobert II not only mention the continuation of a clear line of descent right through to the late 20th century? What? Did you guys hear that? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Watch this. Their desire. Watch this. Their desire is to have a ruler of Merovingian bloodline to hold the position of power as the president of France in the late 20th century. Do you know that we're still in the 20th century? And do you know we're actually in the late 20th century? The 21st century doesn't start until 2021. Next year. What is it? Decade. I meant to say decade. I'm wrong. Decade. Okay, after all, hold on, the late 20th century. Okay, that's correct. 2001. No, that's correct. That's correct. The late 20th century. That's 2000. Okay, yeah. Okay, I made a mistake. That's 2000 in 2020. That's a mistake. Scratch that. Okay. 20th century. Okay. Is at best fragile and at worst demonstrably fictitious. After all, anybody who has ever tried to trace his or her family tree back beyond 2 or 3 generations soon discovers how complex and problematic the whole process is. So again, one is left with the question of just how such a case could have inspired highly intelligent men and women for generation after generation. One can hardly imagine the likes of Isaac Newton and Leonardo being over-impressed by, for example, a British society whose aims were to restore to power the descendants of King Harold II, killed by William the Conqueror's men in 1066. What did we discover yesterday about 1099? And William the Conqueror, their men, killed King Harold II, the British king, in 1066. For the modern Priory of Zion, there are great difficulties in achieving the aims of restoring the Merovingian bloodline. I don't believe any of this. I think because these wealthy people, they keep records of who their ancestors are. This is mere, they're lying here. Not only is there the problem of turning Republican France back to the monarchy, guys. All right, back to the monarchy, which is a dictatorship. It rejected over a century ago, but even then, assuming that the Merovingian succession could ever be proved, that particular dynasty has no claim to the throne because the French nation did not exist during the Merovingian era. This is true. As the French writer Jean Robin succinctly puts it, Dagobert was a king in France, but at no point king of France. Okay, so yes, Macron. And I guarantee you, Macron is a Merovingian. Let's look up what the name Macron means. Oh, look. Macron means a written or printed mark used to indicate a long vowel in some languages and phonetic transcriptions. Macron means a written or printed mark. Okay? I guarantee you okay, Macron, the wife of Macron, is descended from the Merovingians. Told you. Did you guys get that? The wife of Macron, M-A, let's write it here, M-A-C-R-O-N, Président of France. His wife is a descendant of the Merovingian, as was Napoleon's Josephine, Empress Josephine. Macron's wife is a Merovingian. I told you it's one big family, and you ain't in it. Neither am I. Can you? And then they tell you, oh, there's no way we can prove if someone is a descendant of the Merovingians. Yeah, right. Yep, 1066. And if you flip the 66 upside down, you get 1099 when the Priory of Zion was created. And your taxes is 1099 forms. Don't you just love these people? It's one big family, and you ain't in it. Neither am I. Okay, let's continue. So the dossier secrets may appear to be complete nonsense, but the sheer scale of the effort and resources put into them and into maintaining their claims gives one pause to think, right? Even French writer Gerard de Sade, who devotes many closely argued pages to demolishing the alleged evidence for the Merovingian case given in the dossiers, has admitted that the scholarly and academic resources and research that went into them were disproportionately impressive. Although being scathing about the delirious myth, he nevertheless concludes that there is a real history behind it all. One curious feature of the dossiers is the constant and underlying implications that the authors had access to official government and police files. Let's stop there. Police files? Now, why would the police have files on bankers, on famous artists, on publishers, on people in the media? And why would the files that they have be so thorough that people can trace their lineage? Police files? Think about that. Police files? And this was the 60s. This was 1099. This was 1066. That far back, we have police files? What? What information do exactly Potechi? Now you guys are thinking. Police files? Remember, we discovered that many black men in the Americas, when they get their genetics tested, their genetics goes back to the pharaohs in Egypt. And it's so ironic that police are murdering black men. Police files? Huh. You know, they had to buffer that one. Exactly. You know, they had to buffer that police files. They had to buffer that one out. The question is, why? Quick sound check. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me in 3, 2, 1? Press 1 if you can hear me. Never, Potechi. Never. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, can you hear me? All right. Let's continue. Page 45. To take just 2 examples of many, in a 1967 booklet that was added to the dossiers, watch this, called Le Serpent Rouge, the Red Serpent, what an interesting name, which was attributed to 3 authors, Pierre Fugger, Louis Saint-Maxent, and Gaston de Coquet, and dated 17th of January 1967. Although its deposit slip for the Bibliothèque Nationale is dated 15th January. This extraordinary 13-page text, which is generally most appreciated as an example of poetic talent, back to the artist again, poetic talent, how they hide things, right? Also encompasses astrological, allegorical, and alchemical symbolism. Watch this. What is sinister about it, however, is that the 3 authors were all found hanged within 24 hours of each other on the 6th, 7th of March of that year. The 3 authors wrote a book called The Red Serpent. The author's name was Pierre Fugger, Louis Saint-Maxent, Gaston de Coquet, dated 17th of January 1967. Although the deposit slip in the Bibliothèque Nationale is dated 15th of February. Watch this. The extraordinary 13-page text in The Red Serpent, which is generally most appreciated as an example of poetry, also encompasses astrology, allegory, and alchemy symbolism. They were all found hanged within 24 hours of each other. What I find interesting, bingo, they wrote too much truth. Even though they tried to hide the truth under allegory, astrology, and alchemy, too much truth. And then they named the book The Red Serpent. But don't you find it ironic that the 3 of them were hanged at the same time, right? But get this. Who died in the 60s during the civil rights movement? Who died back to back to back to back when the Priory of Zion became public to the English-speaking world in the 60s, and the United States is part of the English-speaking world during the Civil Rights Movement? Who died? Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, JFK, Robert Kennedy. Very interesting parallels. Watch this. The implication is that their deaths were a result of their collaboration in writing Le Serpent Rouge, the red snake. However, subsequent research has shown that the work was deposited among the dossiers on the 20th of March after they were all found dead. Guys, stop there for a second. Let's look at something. In the 60s, with the exception of Malcolm X, David Randall posted something very powerful. We got to look at this. The acronym for JFK is 3 letters, ends with K. RFK, 3 letters, ends with K. MLK, 3 letters, ends with K, with the exception of Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz. You don't see something? You don't see something strange about that? MLK, JFK, RFK, what? Think about that. MLK, JFK, RFK, what? It's like this. Let's type something into the chat. Watch this. MLK, JFK, RFK. What? Now let's look at Masonry. M-A, Son, S-O-N, Re, R-Y. Drop the S-O-N, you get Mary. Mary's son was a Mason? What? MLK, JFK, RFK, what? Ay, ay, ay. What? Whoa. Could they have coded their name with some secret we don't know about? MLK, JFK, RFK. Why did Malcolm X change his last name to X? What? Okay, the plot thickens in church tonight. Okay, but by far the most amazing thing about this whole strange business is that these three MLK, JFK, RFK, 3 alleged authors actually had no connection with this pamphlet at all, or with the Priory of Zion. Someone had presumably seized on the facts of these three bizarrely synchronistic deaths and used them for their own strange purposes. But why? And as Desage points out, or Desed, there were only 13 days, 13, between the three deaths, 3, and the deposit on the pamphlet in the Bibliothèque Nationale, which was such fast work as to suggest strongly that the real authors had inside knowledge of confidential police investigations? What? Did you guys hear that? Police? Did you guys hear that? Police? Oh, I need to read that again. Let's read that again. Okay. But why? And as Desed points out, there were only 13 days. Type that number into the chat room. 13 days. We need a visual. Type the number 13. Type the number 13. Okay. Between 3 deaths. Type the number 3. Type the number 13. Okay. Now type the number 3. Okay. And the deposit of the pamphlet in the library, in the National Library, which was such fast work as to strongly suggest that the real authors had inside knowledge of confidential police investigation. Let's stop there for a second. Why 13 days? Why 3 people? Uh-huh. 13 days and 3 men. 33rd degrees. And then a police investigation. 33rd degree. The police. Guys, look at this. This was 1967. And look at how much information that the police had in 1967 on people. My question to you today is, what does the police have now in terms of intelligence. "13 days, 3 people." Are you guys, let's take a quick break. Are you guys enjoying this? Are you guys enjoying the reading? Are you enjoying tonight's church service? As we read from other holy books. Okay. And Frank Marie, a writer and private detective, has established conclusively that the same typewriter was used to concoct both Le Sapin Rouge and the later documents of the secret dossier, the Red Serpent. Let me type something into the chat, something that I find really peculiar. Watch this. Woo! 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 Haven't been to a church like this before, huh? All right. So the Serpent Rouge was typed on the same typewriter that the dossiers were typed on. Okay. Watch this. Then there was the case of the forged Lloyds Bank document. Lloyds Bank is one of the big banks in England. Alleged 17th century parchment found by a French priest at the end of the last century, which supposedly proved the continuing Merovingian line of descent, were acquired by an English gentleman in 1955 and deposited in a strong box in the branch of Lloyds Bank in London. Did you hear that? Woo! Listen to this. Listen to this. A French priest found a 17th century parchment that was allegedly forged. They found in Lloyds Bank. Okay? They found a forged Lloyds Bank document, Lloyds of London. This is one of the big banks, the big bankers in London. Okay? Watch this. That's what I'm showing you. It's one big family that runs the planet. Watch this. Watch this. This is powerful. Okay? Which supposedly proved the continuing Merovingian line of descent. These are the French monarchs. Okay? Was acquired by an English gentleman in 1955 and deposited in a strong box in a branch of Lloyds Bank of London. Although no one has actually seen the documents, letters were known to exist that confirm the fact that they were deposited and which were signed by 3 prominent British businessmen, all of whom, watch this, had previous connections with British intelligence services. However, during their research for the Messianic Legacy, the sequel to The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail, Béjean, Lay, and Lincoln were able to prove that the letters were forgeries. Although they incorporated parts of genuine documents bearing real signatures and copies of the birth certificates of the 3 businessmen, the most significant and far-reaching point, however, is that whoever forged them seems to have obtained the genuine parts from documents, watch this, in the files of the French government in a way that strongly implicates the French intelligence services. What? So, are they saying, let's read that question, that sentence again. A alleged 17th century parchment found by a French priest at the end of the last century. It supposedly proved that the Merovingian line of descent was now English? It's one big family and you in it. But they're saying that it was a forgery. They're saying it was a forgery, right? The forgery is that that the French monarchy has not taken over the English monarchy. That's what they're saying. Let's continue, because the document allegedly was a fraud. Let's continue. I'm telling you guys, it's one big family and you ain't in it, neither am I. Once again, one is faced with a sense of high strangeness. An enormous amount of time, effort, and perhaps even personal danger must have been involved in setting up such an elaborate ploy. But at the same time, in the final analysis, it appears to be completely and utterly pointless. In that respect, however, the whole business is merely following the old tradition of, watch this, intelligence agencies, in which few things are as they appear to be, and the most seemingly straightforward matters may well be exercises in disinformation. What? Tend to remember the full effect on our subconscious mind. Basically, they're saying that the French intelligence services put out how the British called themselves Anglo-Saxon, and there is a place in France called Saxony. Let's leave that for another day. Okay, after all, it is this part of ourselves that creates our dreams, which operate with their own kind of paradox and non-logic. And it is the unconscious mind that is the motivator. Watch this. They're buffering me. Okay, let me slow down. Okay, so we're back up. All right. So let's read this again. Okay? Watch this. I want you to understand this. Why religious mind control is so powerful. Why religious mind control is so powerful. Okay? Listen to this carefully. Okay. After all, it is this part of ourselves that creates our dreams. They're talking about the unconscious mind. You got to remember, these people are occultists that dabble in the subconscious. Okay, can you guys hear me, or are they really buffering me now? So they dabble in manipulating the subconscious. Okay? Watch this. The unconscious mind, that is your subconscious, right? Okay, let me know if you can hear me. Let me take a break because this is really powerful. You gotta get this. Type the number 1 if you can hear me. I want to make sure I'm not buffering. This is really powerful. Got to make sure you're hearing this. Type the number 1 and let me know you're hearing me. Okay, great. Wonderful. Thank you, Ikara. Thank you very much. Wonderful. Okay, this is the bombshell you need to understand. Okay, if you don't get this, you're going to miss how this world operates. If you don't get this, you're going to miss how this world operates. The creatures at the top, they control the planet through mythology via your subconscious or your subconscious. Let's say that again. The creatures at the top control the planet, and everything they give to us is mythology to control your subconscious mind. And that includes all your religion. That is why I keep telling people, you cannot build your life on the version of a book. Where is the original? People are building their life on a book that clearly says version. And I'm like, where's the original? Let's get into this. It's really powerful. Listen carefully to how the Priory of Zion operates. And it is the unconscious mind that is the motivator, the creator. The creator. God did not create you. You created God, the creator, which once it has been hooked will continue to work even on the most subliminal message for years, extracting every last bit of symbolic meaning from a tiny scrap of apparent gobbledygook. God did not create you. The elite created God and gave him to you. Let me say that again. God did not create you. The elite created God and then gave you God. Just like the elite create your art. Just like they're not elite. Just like the ruling dinosaurs create your art and tell you this is art. The ruling dinosaurs create your media, your print, audio, visual media, and say, this is how you perceive what is happening. The elite create your religion and say, this is your God, and this is how your God operates. You created God. God did not create you. Man created the Bible. Man created the Quran. Man created the Bhagavad Gita. Man. And it is the elite that created God. And they created God because they're occultists who understand the power of imagery, mythology, and archetypes on the subconscious. Church today. Mythology, symbology, and archetypes they use to play on the subconscious because they are occultists in nature. They dabble in the subconscious and the invisible. God did not create you. You were given a God created by dinosaurs. Let's continue. Okay. So skeptics who pride themselves in general on their worldly wisdom are often in fact curiously naive. For they see everything as starkly black or white, true or false, which is just how certain groups wish them to see it. Did you hear that? Certain ruling dinosaurs, the dinosaurs that run this planet, the two-legged serpents that run planet Earth, wants you to believe you're intelligent, wants me to believe I know what's going on, wants me to believe it's either black or it's white. And the master manipulating occultists ruling two-legged serpents, the dinosaurs from the Pleistocene era that is still alive today as they survived the Ice Age and the asteroid. And now they're radioactive dinosaurs with high intelligence that run our planet. They want you to believe you know what's going on. They want you to believe that God made you. They want you to believe that pay your taxes. They want you to believe in the American dream. They want you to believe democracy is fair. They want you to believe capitalism can make you rich and communism is bad. They want you to believe the food is GMOs are healthy, vaccines are healthy. They want you to believe that after you die and you are a devout Christian, you will get a mansion on streets paved with gold when you die. Remember, the bankers pay the artists to create the illusion and then get their printing press, their media to publish the illusion. And the illusion is to work on that subconscious mind. right? So we learned. They want you to see the world in black and white through their lens. For example, what better way of attracting attention on the one hand, but filtering out unwanted interlopers or the casually curious on the other, than to present the public with apparently intriguing but also virtually nonsensical information? You want to know why dinosaurs run the planet? I remember one time when I was on YouTube and people really started waking up to the fact that what runs this planet is nowhere near human. I said, oh boy, they're about to change this algorithm or kick people off of YouTube. They changed the algorithm and now no one speaks about the ruling reptiles. Okay? If it were not true, according to their left-hand path, they wouldn't bother. They wouldn't change the algorithm. They wouldn't care that they think the ruling people, the elite, are dinosaurs, or two-legged serpents, or flying dragons. But when the public started waking up and saying to themselves, what the hell? This planet is not run by humans, they changed the algorithm. They're like, oh hell no, we can't have you that weak or woke. Alright, let's continue. It is as if even getting close to what the priory is really about constitutes an initiation. If you are not meant for it, then the smokescreen will effectively put you off deeper investigation. So they use smoke screens. But if it is in some way meant for you, then you will soon be given extra material, or will discover for yourself in some suspiciously synchronistic fashion. I want you to think about that. They use synchronicity. When you say to yourself, oh my, that's a peculiar coincidence. That's them. That extra insight into the organization which suddenly makes everything about it fall into place. Isn't that amazing? Amazing, amazing info. Amazing, amazing information. Let's see how much more we have to go. We still have a lot. Ooh. All right, let's read one more and then we're done. Okay, it is, in our opinion, a great mistake to dismiss the dossier secrets simply because their overt message is demonstrably implausible. The sheer scale of the work behind them argues in favor of their having something to offer. Admittedly, many an unbalanced obsessive has spent all his time on some vast and doomed work, and the man-hours involved in it do not in themselves make the result any more worthy of our attention and respect. But here we are dealing with a group who are clearly working to some intricate plan, and taken together with all the other available hints and clues, which will become evident in due course, it is clear that something is going on. Either they are trying to tell us something, or they're trying to conceal something, while still dropping hints about its importance. So what do we make of the Priory's historical claims? Does it really go back as far as the 11th century? Remember 1099? And did its ranks actually include all the illustrious names given in the secret dossiers? First, One may say that there is always a problem in proving the existence, current or historical, of a secret society. After all, the more successfully secret it has been, then the harder it is to corroborate its existence. However, where there can be shown to have been repeated interests, themes and aims among those who are claimed to have belonged to this group over the years, it is safe and sensible to assume that such a group may actually have existed. Unlikely as the roll call of the Priory's Grand Masters, as given in the secret dossiers, may seem, the research of Bejan, Lay, and Lincoln has established that this is no random list. They are indeed persuasive connections between succeeding grandmasters. Besides knowing each other, and in many cases actually being related, these luminaries shared certain interests and preoccupations. It is known that many of them were associated with esoteric movements, that's occultism, and secret societies such as Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and Compagnie de Saint-Sacrement, so the Company of Saint Sacrament. Okay, all of which share common aims. So Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and the Compagnie du Saint-Sacrement, all of which share some common aims. For example, there is a distinctly Hermetic theme. Hermetic? Gnostics? That runs through all their known literature, a sense of real excitement at the prospect of man's becoming almost godlike in ever extending the boundaries of his knowledge. What? Man becoming God? But wait, I thought God created man. Besides, our own independent research, which was presented in our last book, has confirmed that those individuals and families who were allegedly implicated in priory business over the centuries were also the same prime movers who maintained what might be termed the Great Holy Shroud hoax. As we have already seen, both Leonardo and Cocteau employed heterodox symbolism in their supposedly Christian paintings. What? Hold on. Separated by 500 years, their imagery shows remarkable consistency, and indeed, other writers and artists who have been linked with the priory, writers, are you guys there? Artists, writers, linked to the priory? Are you guys there? All right, illuminated ones, exactly right. Watch this. Other writers and artists who have been linked with the priory also work such motifs into their output. This in itself suggests strongly that they really were part of some kind of organized underground movement, which was already well established even in Leonardo's day, as both he himself and Cocteau have been claimed as its grand masters. And if one takes into the account their shared preoccupation, it seems reasonable to deduce that they were indeed high-ranking member of some group, at least very like the Priory of Zion. The mass of evidence assembled by Bejan, Lay, and Lincoln in the Holy Blood and the Holy Grail for the historical existence of the priory is unassailable, and yet more evidence, which had been amassed by other researchers, was published in the 1996 revised and updated edition of their book. This is essential reading for anyone interested in this mystery. All this evidence shows that there was a secret society operating from the 12th century, but is the modern Priory of Zion its true descendant? Certainly, while the two groups may not necessarily be linked as claimed, the modern priory does have inside knowledge about the historical society. After all, it was only through today's members that we first heard of the priory in the past. But even access to the old priory's archives would not necessarily imply a genuine continuation. In a recent conversation with the French artist Alain Ferral, who, as Cocteau's protege, worked with and knew him very well, he told us adamantly that his mentor had not been Grand Master of the Priory of Zion. At least Ferral assured us Cocteau had not been involved with the same organization that has since claimed Pierre Planton de Saint-Clair as Grand Master. However, Ferral has carried out his own investigation into certain aspects of the Priory of Zion story, especially those concerning the Languedocian village of Rennes de la Château, and this opinion is that those listed as priory grand masters in the dossier's secrets, up to and including Cocteau, were connected by a genuine underground tradition. Sorry about that. After this reading, we're done. At this stage in our research, we decided to ignore the putative political ambitions of the modern priory. Huh? Did you guys hear that? He's saying that they're going to ignore the political ambitions of the Priory of Zion? They have political ambitions? Okay. And concentrate instead on its historical aspects, which might of course help shed some light on the former. The secret dossiers, apart from their Merovingian mythomania, lay great emphasis on the Holy Grail, the tribe of Benjamin, and the New Testament character Mary Magdalene. For example, in Le Serpent Rouge, the Red Serpent, this declaration appears. Oh boy, let's read this. Okay, so let's focus on something. So what he's saying is that he's not going to focus, they're not going to focus on the political ambition of the Zionists, of these Priory of Zion people, secret society. He said what he's going to focus is on the historical aspects, okay, to see if they really existed. Okay, so the secret dossiers, okay, apart from the Merovingian mythomania, the secret dossiers lay great emphasis on three things. There's a Holy Grail involving the tribe of Benjamin. Guys, did you guys miss that? The tribe of Benjamin? The tribe of Benjamin was born in Egypt. Did you miss that? Under Joseph. I think you guys missed what I'm telling you. I think you guys missed what I'm telling you. The tribe of Benjamin was born in Egypt as a son of Joseph. Wow, that is a great question. I don't have the answer to that. Sister Renetta, here's something interesting. The Merovingian monarch, Childeric, we call our offspring children. That sounds like, yep. Is this offering our offspring up? I wouldn't be surprised. That's a damn good question. Because English is a damn language of spells. Yes, Potechi. The tribe of Benjamin was born in Egypt from one of Pharaoh's, not his daughters, but a high-ranking Commission in Egypt, in Kemet, when Joseph allegedly sat in Kemet. I don't believe none of this, and I don't believe Joseph ever existed. I'm just going by the foolishness they believe. Now, we do know that there were tribes, and that these tribes did live in Egypt, but there is no record, at least public, to prove there was ever a kingdom of Israel. It never existed. Okay? All right. So, the Holy Grail, the tribe of Benjamin, and Mary Magdalene. Now, let's read the declaration from Le Serpent Rouge, the red serpent. Watch this. From the one point I wish to deliberate, rise towards me the aromas of perfume that impregnates the sepulchre. Formerly some called her Isis, queen of the beneficent sources. Come to me, all you who suffer and who are overwhelmed, and I will comfort you. Others, Magdalene, of the famous vase full of healing balm. The initiates know her true name, Notre Dame de Croix. Notre Dame de Croix. Okay. They are saying, guys, did you catch what they just said? Did you catch what they just said in that paragraph? Let me say this again. From the one I wish to liberate. He wants to set someone free. He's saying, rise towards me the aroma of the perfume that impregnates the tomb, the sepulchre. Listen carefully to the words. Formerly, some called her Isis, queen of the beneficent ones. Isis was the queen of the good sources. He says, come to me, all you who suffer and who are overwhelmed, and he says, I will comfort you. Then he says, others, Magdalene, of the famous vase full of healing balm. Watch this. The initiates know her true name, Notre Dame de Croix, the cross, the cross. Is he saying that Mary Magdalene's old name was Isis? Mary Magdalene's name was Isis. Did you get that? Mary Magdalene's name before they created a Mary Magdalene was Isis. What? 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 Woo! And then he goes on to say, the initiates know her true name, Notre Dame de Croix, or de Cross. Watch this. This short passage is puzzling, not least because the frame Notre Dame de Croix makes no sense whatsoever. Why are you calling it Notre Dame de Cross? It's supposed to be de Croix, right? Makes no sense whatever. Okay? Who uses crosses? 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 Unless Cross is a family name, in which case it becomes only slightly more intelligent. Des is the DES, we're speaking some French now, is the plural version of the in English. But cross does not exist in French at all, and of course is in the singular in English. Then there is the peculiar confusion, watch this, of Isis with Mary. After all, one was a goddess and the other a fallen woman. And they are figures from different cultures with no apparent connection whatsoever. They're lying here. There is a connection. But I'll leave that be. Of course, there is an immediate problem, one might think, in linking such apparently diverse subjects such as Mary Magdalene, the Holy Grail, and the tribe of Benjamin, not to mention the Egyptian mother goddess Isis, with that of the Merovingian line. Who did Pharaoh? Remember in Genesis, where Joseph was in Egypt, Pharaoh gave Joseph a wife. And Joseph was a high-ranking member in what they call Egypt, in Kemet. And Joseph, watch this, and Joseph was a dreamer who can interpret dreams, and these occultists encode their disinfo, their allegory, their symbolism using the subconscious. Joseph was considered a god in Egypt. Who did Pharaoh give Joseph as a wife? Could it have been Isis? Did you get what I said? Joseph was considered second in command to Pharaoh. Pharaoh was considered a god on earth. Joseph saved Pharaoh. I mean, all of this is nonsense, but we're just following the ideology here. Joseph was a dreamer and could interpret powerful dreams. Okay? And Pharaoh made him second in command only to Pharaoh, which means Joseph was like a god on earth. And Pharaoh gave Joseph a wife. Did Pharaoh give Joseph Isis to give birth to Benjamin? Just food for thought. Is that what they're saying? Food for thought. I mean, none of this ever happened, but is that what they're saying? Is that what they're saying? Formerly called ISIS? Woo! Woo! Wasn't ISIS a virgin? Wasn't she a virgin who gave birth? Wasn't ISIS... Let's look it up. Wasn't ISIS a virgin who gave birth as well? Let's look it up. You guys won't believe this. Isis Osiris gave birth to Horus. Was Horus born of a virgin? Is Isis Mary? Okay, so scholars, what they're saying here is that scholars generally agree that not even one pre-Christian source identifies Horus as virgin born. Okay, so they're saying here that Horus was not born. Funny, his name is Horus. Horus. All right, hold on. I'm still looking here. Okay, let's look here. Give me a second here. Ah, shit. Damn it. Okay. I'm just trying to find here. Okay, I gotta go dig into this to find this. Okay, it's a long article. I gotta go dig into that to find. Virgin birth. Okay, hold on. Let's try this. Just give me 1 second really quickly. I mean, can't really trust Wikipedia, but let me see what it says. Okay, ISIS. Ah, damn it. I'm trying to find. Okay, where's. Okay, da 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 da. Watch this. The worship of Isis was ended by the rise of Christianity in the 4th and 5th century CE. Her worship may have influenced Christian beliefs and practices such as the veneration of Mary. Mary, that virgin birth. Okay. Okay, hold on. Feminine aspect of divinity. Damn, I gotta look for this on another day. Okay, I'm gonna have to look for this. Alright, guys, I'm gonna have to look for that. Okay? Right? So, guys, it's longer. It's 2.5 hours. Right? So, we left there with an amazing bombshell. Why are they focused on the Holy Grail? Hold on. Didn't Joseph have a cup? God damn. Guys, didn't Joseph in Genesis had a cup in Egypt? Didn't Joseph have a... Hold on. Joseph had a cup. Whoa. Okay. Guys, Joseph had a cup. Listen to this. Page 48. The secret dossiers. Apart from their Merovingian mythomania, lay great emphasis on the Holy Grail. Isn't the Holy Grail a chalice? A cup? Joseph, in the myth in the Bible, put his silver cup into the backpack of his brothers. And he did this in order, watch this, to know if they would be willing to risk danger in order to save who? Benjamin! Guys, I am telling you that Pharaoh, these people are going to say, Pharaoh gave Joseph of the Bible Isis to wed. We see that the cup, even though there is no historical records of any Jews in Kemet, never existed, never happened. But in the fable, there was a silver cup that Joseph in Genesis put into his wicked brother's backpack as a test to see if the brothers would risk their lives in order to save Benjamin. Listen to what they said on page 48. The secret dossiers emphasize the Holy Grail, which is a cup, the tribe of Benjamin, and Mary Magdalene. What? All right, guys, let's wrap it up. So, guys, this was a great reading. This was fun, but it's 2.5 hours. We're gonna be back. If you want to Cash App me, if you want to PayPal, if you want to, hold on. If you want to purchase an herbal bath, you can do so right here. This is the page. This is the shipping rates. You can purchase right here. And these are your reviews. Guys, it's been an amazing 2.5 hours of church tonight, where we're learning powerful information about the Zionists and the Priory of Zion. And now we're on to Joseph, whose son is Benjamin. And the Holy Grail. And in the Bible, Joseph put a silver cup in his brother's bag to see if they would rescue Benjamin. People actually really believe these stories when there is no evidence that there was ever a kingdom of Israel. Ever. And there was no Jews in Egypt. None. The letter J was created 500 years ago. How the hell there were Jews in Egypt 5,000 years ago? And the letter J was created 500 years ago. I mean, this is ridiculous. But anyway. It was great, guys. This was amazing. This was amazing. All right. Did you guys enjoy? That part opened my eyes. The civil rights, the real estate, with the low-income housing. Okay, the bankers funding the artists, and the artists creates the illusions and the mythologies. I mean, this book is This book is, we're only on chapter 2. The relationship with the police, then the, MLK, JFK, RFK. What? This was powerful. This was powerful. Whew. All right, guys. So we're going to be back next week with another church service. We've been healed today. And we've received some brain cells today. And boy, do I feel bad for people who are literally waiting for a sky fairy. Oh, by the way, guys, tomorrow is part 1. Tomorrow is part 1. Before I go, let me do this really quickly. You cannot miss it. Tomorrow is where we go into, because we're discussing right now chapter 2. But tomorrow is chapter 1. You have to listen to chapter 1. Hold on one second. Before I go, so I don't forget. Tomorrow is chapter 1 of this book that we're reading. There is so much truth BOMBS in chapter 1, that you will see everything that's happening today regarding agendas was planned since 1099, 11th century. You cannot miss the episode tomorrow for the podcast. All right, guys? So it's been great. It's been amazing. Love you guys. And tomorrow, listen to chapter 1. If you believe anything, on this planet, if you're waiting for a sky fairy to come back, I feel bad for you, because it's not coming back. It's not. It's all a fairy tale and an allegory and codes. Nothing more, nothing less. Have a wonderful weekend. And those of you who want to continue the conversation in Discord, see you then. Have a great evening. Love yourself and be healed.